Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia, I'm coming to you from the UK, and today is Thursday the 15th of August 2024. Welcome if you're watching. I'm recording this once again on my lunch break with wet hair. Let's just face the elephant in the room. I'm going to get my hair done tomorrow, so I could film a podcast with beautiful new hair, but no, alas, I have my son tomorrow, which is why I am recording today. Anyways, you're not here to talk about my hair. Let's chat about some knitting. You may have noticed that I didn't record last weekend because we were on a little surprise weekend getaway. We ended up going to York, which was amazing. It was really, really fun. I really loved the place. We also took a day out at Scarborough. I'll get more into that towards the end, but that meant I didn't record. But I took 3 pairs of socks as my knitting for the trip, and I have finished 2 of them. So first up, I have finished my first pair of the colorwork cuff sock club, CCC colorwork cuff club, I think, by Summer Lee, who is a prolific sock designer. I always think she has really fun socks, the way she plays with colors. And I mentioned the club last recording. So these are the August socks. You get a chart, at least one chart, sometimes more each month. And you just plug them into a sock recipe. So I used my standard sock pattern that I use all the time. And yeah, can you see the little flowers? I think they're really cute. I'm not sure why I'm showing you the one that's not on a blocker. But here we go. I finished them. The main yarn is some Citron Trekking, a good old German sock yarn. It's got tiny little tweed flecks, which I think is really, really cute. And then I used some leftover yarn from What Mustard Made, one of her bird color clubs from years and years ago, to do the color work, and I think it looks really, really fun. I'm really happy with it. So I finished these. I also finished my Olympic socks, as I call them, because I did cast them on. I was going to cast these on during the opening ceremony, but it didn't happen. So I think I cast them on the second day of the Olympics, and I did finish them on the day that the Olympics finished. The yarn is from Indie Yarn Club, which is a club here in the UK. I am not sponsored by anyone or anything, just in case you were wondering. I think this was their July colorway and a mini that came with the mini club. And as you can see, I just did some plain vanilla socks. I did 60 stitches rather than 64 because this yarn, it's 100% merino yarn and it has slightly less yardage. I think it's around 360 meters per 100 grams. So I think I'm getting away with it. These fit quite well, except I made loads of mistakes on the second sock because we were traveling and I was trying to do things in between a 3-year-old melting down and doing all sorts of stuff. So one of them turned out beautifully, and then the other one, I think, who knows, one of them. First, I messed up the heel, but it was fixable. And then I knit to the toe, and only when counting my stitches for the Kitchener, I realized that I hadn't distributed my stitches correctly. So that didn't only mean that my heel was a little bit off, but that was, and my toe was a little bit off, but also that my heel is a little bit smaller. I'm not sure if you can see, but it's a bit smaller because, again, I messed up. But honestly, I was quite sick of these socks by the end of it, so I put them on my foot, and they do fit. So if I keep them, they'll be fine, and if I gift them, no one will know that one heel is like 4 stitches smaller than the other one. It shouldn't make a big difference. So they're gonna be done. I can't face them anymore. I finished 2 pairs of socks and I'm just sticking with that. So yeah, there we go. 2 pairs of socks done. And then my third pair of socks, that would have been the cherry on top. I didn't finish them, but I'm not far off. So you may have seen these before. These socks, they're sock tubes. One of them I had finished before we went away, and then I think I was on the calf of the second one. So I was knitting on this on the train back from York, but then we had all sorts of shenanigans and frames breaking, and so I did get less knitting done than I thought I would. And the yarn for this is these yarn cakes. You get 2 50-gram balls of sort of gradient yarn, and the yarn is Gusto Wool in their Echoes series. And this colorway is color number 1502, although I will say that it looks very different in terms of the color progression on the website, so who knows. Is it my favorite, most beautiful sock yarn I've ever used? No, but I do quite like it. I think I'm a little bit over it now because these have been on the needles for quite a while. But I've just been focused on other things. But realistically, I could finish these quite quickly, and then I just have to add in the heels and they will be done. And someone suggested I could use the sort of brighter part of the skein for the heels, but I didn't really want to do that. So what I've done is I have caked up some gray yarn. In fact, I have the leftover here. I just took this little ball on holiday with me. This is Yarnsmith's Merino Sock Superwash, which I originally purchased this for my West Knits surprise sock along, the Color Opportunity, but then I didn't end up using it. But I think a grey heel will go quite nicely. It won't detract from anything. It is neutral, and I think that's what I will do. So that is my last sock work in progress, and my only sock work in progress, which means I should be casting on some new socks soon. I have, however, started 2 new projects. Am I sitting on one of them? I think I am. Oh, there we go. First up, you probably remember I was spinning this yarn. This, I got the fiber from John Arbon. This is John Arbon Yarnadelics, which is a Corriedale. It's a Falkland Corriedale, and it's the most lovely soft Corriedale that I've ever spun. It's beautiful. And I spun this long draw, so woolen style, into a 2-ply. And I had 300 grams of it, and I don't have massive amounts of yardage. I think I have less than 1,000 meters. So some people were suggesting I could use it for color work or something, but I wanted this yarn to shine. I sometimes, if I have like 100 gram skein of Handspun, I will happily use that for color works or accessories. But I've always had a garment in mind for this and just this. So I have decided to just cast it on. And I have started the Nebula sweater, and I'm sort of at an awkward point of showing it to you. But the Nebula sweater is a recent pattern by Andrea Mowry. I feel like I sort of overlooked it initially because I really didn't like the yarn choice that she used for her pattern and her pattern photos. But when you look past that, it is a bottom-up sweater, which I haven't done in a while. And it's got this really cool high-low hem with short rows. So the front is quite cropped, if you can maybe tell. And then the back is longer. This is really, really difficult to show you. But there's quite a significant drop. You can probably see it from the short rows here. So you cast on, you do ribbing, and then you do a ton of short rows, and it sort of shapes it really nicely. And then it's got sort of an oversized cropped body, and I think it looks really good. It could be quite effective. So I decided, since I had the pattern anyways, I bought it because I really liked it. And I think this could be one of those sweaters that I make again and again if I do like it. I will say I don't like the sleeves that she put on hers. There's a sleeveless option, which looks quite good. It's more like a t-shirt, and then you can add sleeves. But the sleeves that she did add, I thought were quite sort of bulky. And so if I do add sleeves to this, I will make them more fitted, and I think personally I prefer that look. So anyways, that's what I've done, and I have really been enjoying this. This may be my proudest handspun As you know, if you've been following along this year, I've really been working on my long draw and woolen spinning this year. And I feel like I've really turned a corner, and this yarn is just so, like, it feels really nice to knit with. It's airy, it's lofty, it's drapey, and I am really excited about it. So this is what it looks like. And you increase on the sides as well. So I think it could give a really nice fit. It's just really hard to tell with a bottom-up sweater until it's done. So I am following the pattern. I think it may be a bit too cropped. If I had an endless supply of yarn, I would have made it longer. But I've also decided it'll be fun. I can wear with a skirt, with a high-waisted skirt, if it ends up really cropped. And I feel like I'm going to be making more of these sweaters, so I can just make the next one longer. It's not the end of the world. So I have finished sort of the body and the round, and I am now working on, I think, the front or the back. Who knows? I think the front. So I have split for the sleeves, and I am working back and forth now, which is why the other half of my stitches are sitting on these rubber cords. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I haven't picked it up in a couple of days. I didn't take it with us, but I'm looking forward to getting back to this. I should say that I am already on my second ball of yarn, which is why I don't know if this is going to have sleeves. It may or it may not. I think it probably will have some kind of sleeve, even if it's just sort of elbow length. I will, just eke out as much as I can with the yarn that I have. And if it turns out to be a dream piece, I could order more fiber and spin more yarn and then make the sleeves longer. Realistically, I don't think I'm leaning towards that at the moment, but who knows? It might happen. So yeah, that is one new cast on that I've made. And then I have also started a project that I've been thinking about for a while. And that is the Jethro Cardigan, which is a crochet/knit cardigan by Tanis of Tanis Fiber Art. There's lots of crochet cardigans out there, but hers is one that I think came up maybe last year. And I've seen it pop up, and it just always intrigued me as a fun project, but I never knew if I would ever wear a crochet garment. But then I saw and I followed along with Rachel of the Woolen Spinning Podcast, which is very sort of spinning focused, but she also knits and weaves and does all kinds of crafts. And she made a Jethro cardigan out of handspun, and she used only neutral handspun. It was really beautiful, which I didn't do that. But what also attracted me to hers is her comments about the fit. So she said that was a cardigan that doesn't slip off your shoulders just with the construction. And I have so many cardigans that slip off my shoulders and I hate it. So the idea of a cardigan that seems to have a good fit already sort of convinced me. And she also lengthened hers, and I think just the contrast of seeing someone with a longer rather than like a cropped cardigan, and it was neutral colors rather than like the color pops, it just sort of made me think about it again and again and again. And then the other day I decided to just start it. So I am making this out of stash, and if you know me, you know that I of course am modifying everything. But this is where we are. So we have two fronts and we have a back. And yeah, this is what I'm doing. This is what I have been. I took the squares away with me, or I took some yarn to make squares away with me on holiday. And all of this is out of stash. So this is essentially just a stash buster and a trial and error version. Again, I can make more if I want more. I started this 8 days ago, and theoretically, according to pattern, I have finished all the crochet. So I made size 2, which not sure if that was a wise decision, but that's what I went with because I didn't want it to be too oversized. And I made all of the squares, and I did join all of them together yesterday. The issue is that I need this to be longer. It is quite cropped, and also I have a long torso. So I will be adding 9 more squares to just make it sort of 1 row of squares longer. That way it'll still not be a long cardigan, but it'll be, I think, more suitable for what I want. And in terms of the yarns that I used, sorry, I have a fly next to my phone and it's just driving me absolutely mad. All stash, which makes me really, really proud, and all of this is really woolly yarn. So the majority of this is yarn by Woolly Knit, because years and years ago, I think 2 years ago, I got one of their advent bundles where you paid very, very little money to get sort of leftover and half cones of yarn. So I got all these cones that had maybe like 80 or 100 grams of fiber of yarn on them. So this one for sure, the black one. There's a whole bunch of Woolly Knit in here, and I just thought that would be a good use for them. And then eventually, when I got into it, I just stole from other projects as well. So I'm using this Holzgarn brass from my base camp rug, which I have still not worked on. This is another Holz super soft, which I used for colorwork yoke, I think last year. This one I don't know. This one was in my Woolly Knit bin, but it feels different, so I'm not sure what it is. I used some of the Isaiah yarn that I used for my Vertices Unite earlier this year. And I'm joining it all again with a Woolly Knit yarn, which I don't know what colorway this is, but it's a mild one. And again, is it my favorite? I don't know, but I just wanted to use stash. I didn't want to buy any yarn for this. And this is really heavy as well, so this should get a nice amount of stash out of my yarn cabinets. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I am going to try and make the missing 9 squares and attach them tonight. And I'm really looking forward to doing all the knitting finishing. Again, am I going to run out of yarn? I don't know. We shall see. It will be interesting, but I'm just sort of doing my own thing. As you can see, I am doing solid squares, so I didn't do any color changing within the squares. I just think it's busy enough as it is without making every square with like 4 different colors. I did sort of do the join as you go, but of course I did it my own way. To be fair, the pattern, I think it's really good if you're insecure about your crochet, but if you know what you're doing, just by looking at like the dimensions and the gauge and the drawing, you basically have all the info you need. So I think if you are new to crochet, this would be a really good one because Tanis takes you through all the steps. But I will be honest, I didn't read most of them. I know how to crochet a granny square, I know how to join them. I just sort of did my own things. I also crocheted in my ends as I went, as I always do. There's a good blog post on that on the Cherry Hearts blog if you need it. So all these ends I can just snip off once I'm done. They're all woven in. And yeah, so I have been working on this. And yeah, I don't know. I tried it on yesterday and Kai, my husband, was so shocked. He was like, can you please burn this? Can we please never look at this again? This is horrible. But luckily I don't care. I'm sort of channeling like a Gilmore Girls autumn inspiration for this. I think it'll be really cute, even if I just wear it at home when working from home in my loft, which gets quite chilly. Yeah, this is just me playing with yarn and playing with crochet. Is it going to be the most stylish thing ever? I'm not sure. It might not be, but I honestly don't care. So that is what I have been working on, and I should stop rambling because I do need to get back to work. But I did quickly want to tell you and show you what I got on my trip. It wasn't very much yarn-wise. Initially, I didn't know where we were going. I just basically wanted to go away and not deal with having to plan it, and my lovely husband was like, fine, I'll do that. I'll just book us something and it'll be a surprise. So I only found out we were going to York the morning that we left. And I did have a look, but I didn't find any. I mean, I think there was wool at some places, but there weren't any shops that I was desperate to go to and like drag my husband and child across town for. I briefly thought about going to Leeds for a day, but we already did so much travel on train, and I just couldn't fathom going on another train. So what I did find is they had Sostrene Grene, which I'm probably mispronouncing. But this is the brand that I'm talking about. If you don't know, they have beautiful anything like crafting materials and kids' toys and kitchen accessories. It's a really beautiful store, very sort of Scandinavian aesthetic, and I knew they had yarn. So we actually went twice, and the first time my son, who had been quite sort of difficult, he fell asleep just as we went into the store, so I could actually look at stuff in peace, and it was lovely. And I got a little bit of yarn. I got 2 balls of this, which is their Anna and Clara's tweed yarn. It's 85% wool, 10% acrylic, 5% viscose. And it's a singles yarn. I'm not sure if you can see. It's got these beautiful little tweedy bits. Like it's not a white base, it's like a cream base. And I don't know, something about that made me really, really happy. It's quite thick. I think it's a DK weight, DK to Erin, and I got 2 balls of this to make a hat, and I'm really, really excited about it. Sorry, I had a little posty interruption. And the only other thing I got was some cotton yarn. They had a whole wall of this, and they had really beautiful colors. And you know me, I like to knit anchors tops for summer. And I mentioned that my favorite cotton yarn so far seems to be the Drops Nepal. No, I always say Drops Nepal. Drops Saffron, which is 100% cotton. And that's held up really well. And I was looking at this, and I feel like it feels very similar. And it's got the same yardage. So I think this one may also be one that sort of might work really well for my preferences when it comes to summer tops. And they had the most beautiful colors, and again, this was quite affordable. So I got 4 skeins of this. It's 100% cotton, 8x4. Does it say a colorway? I don't think it does. But I just thought this color was really pretty. They had a lot of colors that I enjoyed, to be fair, but I got 4 balls of this to make a anchor's tee. 4 balls seems very little, but I checked my Ravelry, and that's what I apparently always get, so we will see. And yeah, this is just my color, isn't it? Not sure if I'm going to get this done next year, or if I might this year, or if I might just next year really force myself to, I don't know, by March or something, start making my summer garments so I can actually wear them. But I think this will be a nice one, especially since I wore my Tulsa tee out of woolly knit cotton quite a bit recently, especially also on holiday. And while I like it, it is starting to look a little bit worn. I mean, I do just chuck it in the washing as well. I'm not especially careful with it. So I think I could freshen up my sort of summer garment wardrobe. And yeah, I really, really like this color. So yeah, that is it in terms of my yarn from my trip. And yeah, that's basically all we've been up to. It's been quite busy. We got home, we went by train, we got home on Monday night. And our train was already quite late anyways, quite late in the day. But then, of course, it was like the hottest day in the UK that year. And our train eventually stopped on track. And then it started moving again. And then it stopped again. And they were like, there is a weird light flashing and we don't really know why. And we're going to investigate it. And then eventually the train was cancelled. So it took us a while to get home. It wasn't too bad, but it just meant we got in really, really late. I mean, no, we didn't, but we got late for me. My son basically had to go straight to bed, and then the next morning we were straight back into nursery and work and all of that. So it's been sort of a rough transition back into our routine. But yeah, we've had a couple of days now, so it's been good to get back into that as well. I'm starting to get my ducks in a row, which is good because there's only a couple more weeks until my son starts school, which is crazy. That also means that when he does start school, I'll be working 4 days a week and I'll have Fridays off. So I'm hoping to be able to then just record on Fridays And I'm really looking forward to having a set day for that rather than having to always squeeze in these recordings either in like a lunch break or when my husband has my son and take time out of our weekends. I'm hoping this should make it a little bit easier as well. So yeah, that is what I've been up to. I'm sorry, I feel like these lunchtime recordings are always a little bit all over the place because my brain is still like thinking about work and all of that, but it is what it is. So thank you so much for watching. I hope wherever you are in the world that you're healthy and happy and have some yarn to play with. Do let me know what you're working on or planning to work on in terms of knitting, crochet, spinning, all of that. And I will catch up with you guys. I don't know when actually. We have my son's birthday coming up. We have visitors coming. I will catch up with you guys sometime soon. Let's just say that. Until then, enjoy your summer. Stay cool. Happy knitting. Bye.